I think just the biggest thing is, it's really, really special, and I don't think it's going to set in for me for quite some time.
Cheryl Reeve is a well-known personality in women's basketball for her significant coaching experience and strategic ability.
Good D, here we go, Sabrina. You're active, be active, good. So your help is, I'm here, she penetrates a little, I help. Don't go all the way down here, you're not gonna get back out.
She is the head coach and general manager of the Minnesota Lynx in the WNBA, a post she has held since 2010. Under her guidance, the Lynx won 4 WNBA titles, establishing themselves as the league's dominant force.
But how about those hands by Breon January?
Cheryl Reeve teed up. All the way out on the court, Jim Peterson, the assistant coach, had to come get her.
Reeve's coaching strategy prioritizes defense, collaboration, and player development, earning her numerous Coach of the Year accolades.
Yeah, you're right in here, right? And then go, okay? So you're here, right? Couple dribbles, I help. 2 hands on, a little closer. Go get it, go finish it.
In addition to her WNBA accomplishments, Reeve was named the head coach of the USA Basketball Women's National Team in 2019.
The official announcement has not been made by USA Basketball, so it'd be premature for me to have any conversations about any player or anything.
Her responsibilities include not just coaching the squad, but also making critical decisions on player selection for international games, including the Olympics.
You came running out so hard, but you were here, and it was like that, right? You got to use the three-point line. So if I come straight out and I'm using the three-point line for my feet, that's what it should look like. Just be active, don't stand.
Reeve's nomination to this prominent post demonstrates her competence and respect within the basketball community. Reeve's impact on the game goes beyond her coaching achievements. She is well known for her advocacy for gender equality in sports, as well as her efforts to advance women's basketball. Her leadership on and off the court has established her as a role model and pivotal figure in the progress of women's sports.
But hey, we worked, and we're gonna work, because that's what it's going to take, right? But I really appreciate what you guys did for these 3 days.
Caitlin Clark's journey to the WNBA is one of incredible talent and determination.
I want my legacy to be the impact that I can have on young kids.
Her basketball career began at Dowling Catholic High School in West Des Moines, Iowa, where she was a standout player who won multiple awards and set records.
And the pupil in the state of Iowa. And I hope I brought them a lot of joy this season. I hope this team brought them a lot of joy. I understand we came up 1 win short, but I think we have a lot to be proud of and a lot to celebrate. And I was just that young girl, so all you have to do is dream.
Her outstanding achievement in high school piqued the interest of college recruiters around the country. Clark elected to play college basketball at the University of Iowa, where she rapidly established a name for herself. As a rookie, she topped the country in scoring and was named Big Ten Rookie of the Year. Her ability to score from anywhere on the court, combined with her playmaking abilities, made her one of the most exciting players in college basketball. Clark proceeded to dominate during her sophomore and junior years, winning many All-American awards and breaking numerous school and conference marks. Her leadership on the floor enabled Iowa to achieve considerable success, including long runs in the NCAA tournament.
The player of the year, number 22, Caitlin Clark.
By the time she declared for the WNBA draft, Clark was largely regarded as one of the best prospects in years. Clark, who was selected 2nd overall in the WNBA draft by the Indiana Fever, made an immediate impact in her debut season. She led the squad in scoring and assists, displaying her ability to adapt to the professional level. Her aggressive playing style, characterized by deep three-pointers and dazzling assists, rapidly established her as a fan favorite.
Seeing her do what she did on the court today, that was actually really amazing.
Despite her strong debut season and apparent potential, Caitlin Clark was not named to the USA basketball squad for the Paris Olympics. Cheryl Reeve and the selecting committee made this conclusion after considering several considerations. According to Reeve, the selection process intended to create a team with a balance of experience, adaptability, and camaraderie, all of which are required to compete at the top level of international play.
Diana Taurasi is injured, and it may open the door for Caitlin Clark to make the Olympic team. And women's basketball just didn't quite know how to handle Caitlin Clark. It reminds me a little bit when Taylor Swift, the singer, became a billionaire with the Eras Tour, And like the management team and Ticketmaster had to apologize. Like in 10 minutes, they couldn't supply enough tickets. It was just, they were completely overwhelmed.
Several factors most likely contributed to Clark's exclusion. Team USA traditionally prefers experienced players who have competed in international events.
My parents are here tonight over here. My dad was actually my first ever AAU basketball coach, so this is kind of a full circle moment, and I grew up playing a lot of AAU sports, whether it was softball, basketball, soccer. I did it all, and I actually grew up playing with the boys. That's all I knew until I was in about 4th grade.
The selection committee may have emphasized veterans who have proven themselves on the global scene over rising talents such as Clark.
So I give that a lot of credit for the person I am today, but also the player kind of pushed me and made me maybe a little too feisty if you've ever watched me. I'm a little feisty out there, but no, I love them, and they've been my rock, and my 2 brothers aren't here today, but they've picked on me, like I said earlier, they picked on me more than anybody, and I kind of held my own, gave them a few.
Furthermore, the team's current roster features multiple players who fill comparable positions as Clark, potentially lowering the need for another high-scoring guard. Reeve and the selection committee also assessed team dynamics and adaptability to international playing styles. While Clark's scoring ability is undeniable, her defensive capabilities and international tournament experience may have been perceived as areas for improvement. The decision to omit her was not necessarily a reflection of her abilities, but rather a strategic one based on the overall squad composition.
My teammates and my coaches obviously aren't here tonight, but the reason I went to Iowa was to be able to do something different and take them to a place they really hadn't been. We've been to 1 Final Four. We've never been to the national championship game, and like I said earlier, our state and really our entire country has really rallied around not only women's basketball, but women's sports in general. So it's been really incredible to see that. And
Caitlin Clark's removal from Team USA has created widespread outrage and debate in the basketball community. Fans, analysts, and fellow players have all criticized the decision, claiming that Clark's talent and potential justified her participation on the Olympic team. The criticism has been fueled by Clark's outstanding performances in the WNBA, which many say emphasized the mistake of leaving her off the roster. The controversy erupted after Clark's performance in a WNBA All-Star game versus another All-Star squad demonstrated her powers even more.
Yeah, it seems inevitable that USA basketball would benefit from the hype of the college season. The WNBA is going to experience that sort of spillover of enthusiasm.
Her performance exposed some of the national team's vulnerabilities and demonstrated what they could be missing out on if she was not included. This performance fueled the outcry against Cheryl Reeve and the selection committee, with accusations of bias and bad judgment becoming more prominent.
honestly, no disappointment. Like, I think it just gives you something to work for. That's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
Critics say that Reeve and the committee may have let personal biases influence their conclusion. Some argue that Clark's youth and inexperience were unfairly used against her, while others believe internal politics within USA basketball played a part. The incident has prompted requests for increased transparency in the selection process, as well as a reevaluation of the criteria used to pick national team members. Reeve has defended the selection process, claiming that it was fair and aimed at creating the greatest possible team. She stressed that the decision was made after conducting a thorough review of all candidates, taking into account both their particular skills and how they fit into the team's overall strategy. However, this explanation has done nothing to placate critics, who see Clark's exclusion as a major error.
Look at this quote here. Caitlin Clark is just a rookie in the WNBA. Wasn't playing bad, but wasn't playing like she's playing now. If we had to do it all over again, the way that she's playing, she would be in really high consideration of making the team because she's playing head and shoulders above a lot of people. It's hard to argue the impact Clark has had on both ratings and attendance for the WNBA.
The debate has also drawn attention to larger issues within the sport, such as the difficulties young and emerging players face in earning recognition and opportunity at the highest levels. Clark's admirers claim that her omission reflects a bigger issue in which deserving athletes are ignored due to subjective and sometimes opaque selection methods.
Olympic competition is Olympic competition. Nevertheless, for Team USA's game, rife with stars, expected to blow out their competition.
The event has likely had an impact on USA Basketball's reputation and underlined the difficulties and problems of picking national team lineups. As the Olympics approach, Cheryl Reeve and Team USA face tremendous pressure to perform and justify their decisions.
Where's everybody at now? It's about competition. It's about competition. It's about competition, right? Right?
Anything less than a gold medal may be interpreted as an endorsement of the criticism and a serious hit to Reeve's credibility. Caitlin Clark, meanwhile, continues to shine in the WNBA, proving her critics wrong and cementing her place as one of the league's brightest players. Her performances serve as a reminder of what Team USA could have become, adding to the embarrassment and grief over her removal. Her tenacity and success have only exacerbated the discussion around her exclusion from the national squad. This episode has clearly tarnished USA Basketball's reputation and generated serious concerns about the integrity of the selection process. The debate over Clark's expulsion is about more than just one player. It highlights bigger concerns in the sport. As the dispute plays out, it will be interesting to observe how it affects future selections and the entire landscape of women's basketball. The incident has also highlighted the broader consequences for other players who may encounter similar scenarios in the future. The argument over Clark's exclusion has highlighted the need for a more transparent and equitable selection process, one that evaluates all players based on their performance and potential rather than subjective factors. This could lead to significant changes in how national teams are constituted and players evaluated. Furthermore, Clark's situation has resonated with both fans and players, emphasizing the significance of identifying and developing youthful potential.
Everything's so restrictive because you're doing business with everybody and you're milking every penny for all it's worth, every chance you get. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's why you should have had Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Her narrative serves as a reminder of the difficulties that athletes can face even after they have demonstrated their abilities on the court. The outpouring of support from the basketball world demonstrates the general conviction that her removal was a mistake.
Because they are a draw. I never once said that Caitlin Clark should have been on the team ahead of the 12 people selected ahead of her.
The scandal has also underlined the importance of the media and public opinion in molding the narrative surrounding sports. The severe scrutiny and criticism of Reeve and the selection committee has been fueled in part by media coverage and fan feedback. This demonstrates the importance of public opinion in holding sports organizations accountable and advocating for reform.
I said marketing matters in everything. Promotion matters in everything. And you're not going to get around that. That is what I said.
As the dust settles, USA Basketball must address the issues raised by this scandal. This could include reevaluating the selection process, increasing transparency, and ensuring that judgments are made using clear and objective criteria. Such changes could assist to rebuild trust in the selection process and avoid similar conflicts in the future. Meanwhile, Clark stays focused on her WNBA career. She continues to give amazing performances, winning awards, and demonstrating her worth. Her determination and resilience in the face of hardship have been amazing, and her triumph provides a compelling counter-narrative to the decision to reject her from Team USA. For Cheryl Reeve, the controversy is a huge problem. As head coach, she must deal with criticism and pressure while leading her squad to Olympic triumph. Her capacity to manage the crisis and deliver outcomes will be constantly monitored, and it might have long-term consequences for her career and reputation. The controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark's rejection from Team USA emphasizes the intricacies and problems of sports management, as well as the value of fairness and transparency. It serves as a reminder that sports organizations must always assess and improve their processes to guarantee that the finest players receive the opportunities they deserve. As the Olympics approach, all eyes will be on Team USA and Cheryl Reeve. The pressure to perform and justify the selection judgments will be intense. Success on the court may help to mitigate the criticism, but the shadow of Clark's exclusion will most likely linger, serving as a reminder of the conflicts and obstacles that exist in the world of sports.
What's the difference now in this level of play now that you're playing with these professionals versus who you play with and against at Iowa?
I would say the biggest thing is just you can't take a second off. No matter who you're guarding, no matter if you're on offense or defense, like you breathe for 1 second and you're not looking at your man and she's on the other side of the court. So I think that's the biggest thing is everybody's so skilled. Like this is the most competitive league in the world because there's not that many spots. So every person that's getting on the floor is really, really talented. So I think just, you can't take up one single possession off, whether it's on offense or defense. And
to summarize, Caitlin Clark's withdrawal from the USA basketball squad for the Paris Olympics has created major controversy and debate. The choice by Cheryl Reeve and the selection committee has been extensively criticized, with many questioning the process's fairness and honesty. Clark's outstanding WNBA accomplishments have only fueled the criticism, emphasizing what Team USA may be missing out on. The ongoing controversy serves as a reminder of the need of transparency and justice in sports, as well as the necessity for continuous examination and reform of selection methods to guarantee that talented players are given the opportunities they deserve. Basketball is more than simply a game. It is a stage where heroes emerge, legends are created, and the impossible becomes a reality. Caitlin Clark has emerged as a shining example of brilliance in a sport defined by tenacity, talent, and a never-ending desire for greatness. She is more than simply a player. She is a sensation, an irresistible force that has captured the hearts of millions. Despite their apparent brilliance, the United States women's basketball team took a move that stunned the globe. They elected to omit Caitlin Clark from their Olympic squad, an astonishing decision that rapidly became the buzz of the sports world. Today we'll look at the events that led up to this surprising choice, the game in which Caitlin Clark exposed USA basketball's weaknesses, and the legacy she's making in real time.
Girls high school basketball in Iowa, you know the name Caitlin Clark, Dowling Catholic star guard, the nation's #4 prospect in the 2020 class.
Caitlin Clark is not a typical athlete. From her early days in high school, when she broke records and redefined what it meant to be a teenage basketball prodigy, to her collegiate career at the University of Iowa, Caitlin has constantly demonstrated that she is a once-in-a-generation player. Caitlin swiftly rose to prominence as a household name thanks to her long-range shooting, court vision, and ability to dominate the game. By the time she filed for the WNBA draft, she was already a superstar with a fan base that matched the biggest names in sports.
Team last summer, that Caitlin Clark. Well, last night she went off on the road at Mason City, putting up 60 points in the Maroons' win.
Despite her clear talent and the ardent love of her fans, Caitlin has had to traverse a terrain fraught with uncertainty, jealousy, and open hate. Some of the sport's finest names have questioned her location, style, and even her eligibility to compete among the elite. But Caitlin, with her customary resolve, has let her game speak for itself. And nowhere was this more apparent than in the events preceding and following her expulsion from the USA Basketball Olympic squad.
I didn't realize how many I had, but I don't know, it must have just kept building up and stuff. I mean, I never would have imagined I would score 60 points, so I don't know.
When the final selection for the USA women's basketball Olympic team was revealed, the lack of Caitlin Clark's name sent shockwaves through the sports world. How could the best player in women's basketball, arguably one of the most electric athletes on the planet, not be included? Both fans and analysts were perplexed. This wasn't just a dubious move, it was a clear oversight that many people predicted would come back to haunt the squad.
The Caitlin Clark vet! Thank you very much.
The arguments provided by the decision makers were as diverse as they were unsatisfactory. Some cited Caitlin's age, stating she lacked the necessary experience for the global stage. Others noted her playing style, arguing that her reliance on long-range shooting made her a liability in international competition. However, their explanations fell hollow. Caitlin Clark had previously shown herself against the world's finest players, frequently outperforming them with her scoring abilities and leadership on the court. The decision to leave her off the team was not only wrong, but also unjust.
Team USA's win over Japan only drew 13,040 fans, which was the lowest attended game among the opening 6 matchups in group play.
The decision to omit Caitlin from the Olympic roster sparked an outcry, but it also set the stage for one of basketball's most dramatic moments in recent memory. Caitlin did not simply accept the rejection, she utilized it as motivation. She realized she had much to prove, not just to her followers, but to those who had questioned her.
I mean, Caitlin is a great player, and I think the way that she's kind of came into this league, she's continuing to hold her own and show everyone what she can do.
When Caitlin Clark faced the USA basketball team in a high-stakes WNBA contest, it wasn't just another game. That was a statement. Caitlin played with a chip on her shoulder, delivering an intensity that made everyone else on the court struggle to keep up. Caitlin was on a mission, and it was evident right away. She didn't simply play well, she dominated, leaving no doubt about her status among the elite. Caitlin has already experienced criticism from the basketball establishment. Throughout her career, she had faced intense criticism. Her critics frequently cited her style of play, her preference for deep three-pointers and flashy assists, as reasons why she was not a traditional player. What these critics didn't realize was that Caitlin Clark was not interested in being traditional. She wanted to be great.
Speaks really highly to the player that Caitlin is, to the superstardom that she's created, for people to feel this strongly about something that most of us who know basketball just know it makes sense.
Her animosity with members of the USA basketball hierarchy, including the team's coaching staff and selection committee, had been boiling for years. Some viewed her as a challenge to the status quo, a player who refused to meet the expectations put on her. But Caitlin didn't simply survive the rivalry, she flourished in it. Every time she stepped onto the court, she was sending a message. She belonged, she was here to stay, and no amount of criticism could dim her radiance. Caitlin's performance against the USA basketball team was more than simply a personal success. It was a turning point for the entire system that had doubted her. With each basket and assist, Caitlin exposed the faults in a system that had undervalued her. The USA squad, which had previously prided itself on its ability to scout and pick the greatest players, was suddenly confronted with the truth that they had made a major error. This game wasn't just about Caitlin proving herself, it was about exposing the flaws in a system that had failed to recognize her brilliance. As Caitlin continued to dominate, it became evident that leaving her off the Olympic squad would be one of the most costly mistakes in USA basketball history.
Team USA's win over Japan only drew 13,040 fans, which was the lowest attended game among the opening 6 matchups in group play.
The sports world was buzzing in the days and weeks after the event. Analysts who had previously questioned Caitlin's position were now screaming her praises. Fans flocked to social media to voice their displeasure at the decision to keep her off the team, with many calling for accountability in the USA basketball administration. However, the most significant influence of Caitlin's performance was on the future of USA basketball. The team, long regarded as unbeatable, was now considered fragile, with its decision-making process called into question, and Caitlin Clark, the player who had been deemed unworthy, had become a symbol of everything wrong with the system. Caitlin Clark's journey is far from complete, but the impact she is leaving is unmistakable. She is more than just a terrific player. She is a trailblazer, a disruptor, and someone who refuses to be limited by the constraints that others try to place on her. Caitlin has demonstrated that greatness is not about fitting into a mold, but about shattering it and reinventing what it means to be a champion. Her contribution to women's basketball cannot be emphasized. Prior to Caitlin, the sport was frequently disregarded and struggled to establish itself in the public. But when she arrived, everything changed. People who had never seen a women's basketball game before were lured in by the sheer brilliance of Caitlin's performance. She introduced enthusiasm, vitality, and most significantly, a new generation of fans to the sport. Caitlin Clark's impact goes far beyond the basketball floor. She represents the power of tenacity, the strength of self-belief, and the influence that one individual can have on the world. In a sport dominated by teams and methods, Caitlin has demonstrated that individual talent can shine through and that a single player may transform the game.
Everyone was up in arms about Caitlin Clark not being on the squad. Caitlin has proven to be a game changer both on and off the court.
Caitlin's narrative, however, reminds us of the obstacles that come with brilliance. She has received criticism, mistrust, and plain antagonism from those who should have backed her, but she has never wavered in her quest for perfection. Caitlin Clark is significant because she personifies the spirit of resilience, the conviction that no matter how many times you're knocked down, you get back up and keep fighting. As Caitlin Clark continues to build her place in basketball history, one thing is certain: her journey is far from over. The day she revealed USA basketball marked a watershed moment not only in her career, but also in the sport's future. Caitlin has demonstrated that she is more than capable of leading a team to victory, and that she deserves every accolade and ounce of praise that comes her way.
She's continuing to hold her own and show everyone what she can do. I think that, I'm excited to go alongside these 12, but know that Caitlin is going to have a bright future with USA basketball.
But Caitlin Clark's story serves as a warning lesson for those who doubt the power of great talent. The decision to keep her off the Olympic squad will be remembered as one of the worst errors in USA basketball history. It was a decision based on antiquated thinking, a refusal to acknowledge the brilliance of a player who is altering the game in real time. As we look ahead, it is evident that Caitlin Clark will be a strong force in basketball. Her skill, dedication, and steadfast trust in herself will keep her on top of her game for years to come. And as she continues to smash records and defy expectations, She will encourage the next generation of athletes to follow in her footsteps. Caitlin Clark's legacy is that of a terrific player who refused to be defined by others and, as a result, changed basketball. The day she exposed the USA, basketball was a win not only for Caitlin, but for all athletes who have ever been neglected, undervalued, or discarded. It was a reminder of true brilliance will always ascend to the top regardless of the hurdles. Caitlin Clark did not simply play the game, she altered it. For that, she will be remembered as one of the best at doing it.
And I think, the points that she made, she's even more motivated, more hungry, and just knowing that her time is going to come.
Caitlin Clark's story is one of determination, of a young athlete who refused to let uncertainty and criticism define her. She exemplifies what it means to be truly great, not only in basketball, but in life. As we watch her journey unfold, one thing is clear: Caitlin Clark is here to stay, and she isn't done making history. So continue to watch, cheer, and most importantly, believe in the power of greatness, because with Caitlin Clark on the court, anything is possible. Caitlin Clark has suddenly emerged as a household figure in the world of women's basketball, which its male counterpart has long overshadowed. Clark's journey from Iowa's courts to the bright lights of the WNBA is nothing short of incredible, encapsulating the promise and potential that so many young athletes strive for. Clark had an extraordinary ability to dominate the basketball floor from a young age, displaying talents that defied her age and experience.
Leads in points, rebounds, and assists. Clark from the logo, and knocks it down.
Clark was born and reared in West Des Moines, Iowa, and her skill was obvious from the time she picked up a hoop. Her high school experience at Dowling Catholic High School was nothing short of remarkable, as she constantly surpassed her contemporaries, establishing records and receiving awards along the way. By the time she was a senior, she was regarded as one of the best recruiters in the country, with universities competing for her commitment.
Another feed inside, and Stuckey finishes!
Clark finally decided to attend the University of Iowa, which proved to be a game changer for both her and the program. From her first game as a Hawkeye, it was evident that she was unique. Her ability to score from any position on the floor, along with her remarkable court vision and basketball IQ, made her a formidable opponent. Clark could do it all, from draining deep threes to threading the needle with precision passes. Her achievements were so spectacular that they drew national notice, raising Iowa's women's basketball team to unprecedented heights.
Caitlin Clark, Dowling Catholic star guard, the nation's #4 prospect in the 2020 class, and played for Team USA under-17 team last summer. That Caitlin Clark.
Clark's college experience was a highlight reel from beginning to end. She broke multiple NCAA marks, including being the quickest player in history to score 1,000 career points. Her scoring prowess was only equaled by her ability to help her teammates improve, as she often provided assists that led to easy baskets. Her on-court leadership was obvious, as she led the Hawkeyes to several NCAA tournament berths and helped improve the national reputation of women's basketball.
The Maroons win. That's second best all time in the state of Iowa for the 5-on-5 girls basketball era. The Dowling record. To do so, she hit 13 threes. That is a new state record.
But Clark's path to prominence was not without its difficulties. Despite her exceptional skill and accomplishment, she received criticism and scrutiny from certain members of the basketball community. Some questioned if her style of play, which often included long-range shots from well beyond the three-point line, was sustainable at the professional level. Others questioned her ability to make the move from college to the WNBA, where competition is fiercer and defenses are more advanced.
I didn't realize how many I had, but I don't know, it must have just kept building up and stuff. I mean, I never would have imagined I would score 60 points, so I don't know.
To comprehend the importance of Caitlin Clark's ascension, it's necessary to recognize the achievements of people who came before her, pioneers such as Cheryl Swoopes. Swoopes is a big name in women's basketball, one of the most famous characters in the sport's history. She was instrumental in propelling women's basketball to new heights and setting the way for future generations of athletes.
Check on the averages, 15 turnovers a game. And Swoopes gets it right now for the Raiders.
Swoopes started her basketball career in Brownfield, Texas, where she immediately established herself as a top player in high school. She went on to play collegiate basketball at Texas Tech University, where she helped the Lady Raiders win a national title in 1993. Her effort in the championship game, in which she scored 47 points, is one of the most memorable in NCAA history.
13-10 Buckeye lead. Swoopes drives the baseline, unimpeded.
Swoopes was the first player to join the WNBA when it was formed in 1996, kicking off a legendary professional career. Swoopes accomplished about everything a player could hope for throughout her career, including 3 WNBA MVP awards, 4 WNBA championships with the Houston Comets, and 6 All-Star appearances. Her defensive brilliance earned her the moniker, the female Michael Jordan, and she was noted for her ability to shut down the other team's top players while still scoring on offense. Swoopes' influence on the game went beyond her on-court performance. She was also a pioneer off the court, becoming one of the first well-known athletes to come out as homosexual. Her fearlessness in living her truth, along with her domination on the court, established her as a role model for innumerable young athletes. Swoopes' legacy is not just that of a brilliant basketball player, but also of a trailblazer who changed the paradigm of women's sports and inspired a new generation of athletes. Like every pioneer, Swoopes had hurdles along the way. Her outspoken personality and desire to discuss challenging subjects have sometimes placed her in conflict with others in the basketball world. Swoopes has always been open to expressing her thoughts, whether regarding the condition of the game, player treatment, or the WNBA's future orientation. Spokenness has made her a beloved and sometimes contentious figure in the sport.
Basketball coach Cheryl Swoopes, she's under investigation, accused of mistreating players.
An ESPN reporter recently reported on a growing conflict between Cheryl Swoopes and Caitlin Clark. The inquiry looked into Swoopes' statements, which were seen as disparaging of Clark's swift climb to popularity and the attention she has received in the basketball world. The reporter emphasized the divide between the old school of women's basketball, represented by icons like Swoopes, and the current crop of players such as Clark, who are changing the game with their style and attitude. According to the article, Swoopes voiced worries about Clark's rapid rise to superstar status, wondering if it was fair to other players who had been in the league longer and had not gotten the same degree of attention. The statements sparked heated controversy in the basketball world, with some agreeing with Swoopes' point of view and others seeing them as needless criticism of a young girl who is merely trying her hardest to achieve. The ESPN study also addressed the larger problem of how women's basketball is presented in the media. It implied that there might be underlying prejudices at work in how particular players are praised or critiqued, and that these biases could lead to splits within the sport. The revelation stirred debate on social media and among sports pundits, with views split on whether Swoopes' statements were acceptable or reflected an outmoded worldview. The friction between Cheryl Swoopes and Caitlin Clark may be seen as a microcosm of the larger issues at work in women's basketball today. On the one hand, there is a profound admiration for the game's pioneers, the legends who struggled for recognition and contributed to the WNBA's current status. On the other side, there is unmistakable enthusiasm about the current generation of players who are pushing the limits of what is possible on the court and injecting new vitality into the sport.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about bullies, we can talk about every time Caitlin has the ball, she pushes off.
Caitlin Clark, with her aggressive shooting, remarkable range, and playmaking abilities, personifies this new breed of brilliance. She has instilled a level of enthusiasm in women's basketball that has yet to be seen in years, attracting new fans and boosting viewership. Her ability to score from wherever on the floor, clutch performances, and charming demeanor have helped her become a household name, even among people who have not previously watched women's basketball extensively. However, with increasing popularity comes criticism. As Clark's popularity has grown, so has the number of detractors who wonder whether she merits the attention she is getting. Some of this criticism, according to the ESPN study, may stem from deeper concerns such as racism, sexuality, and the sport's developing culture. The fact that Clark is a white, straight woman in a league dominated by black LGBTQ+ players has raised questions about whether her success is due to her skill or to other reasons.
If it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it. If Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years.
Cheryl Swoopes' words, whether meant or not, have fueled the discussion. Swoopes' insight is valuable since he has been through both the highs and lows of a professional basketball career. Her complaints about the game's future and the way some players are pushed are valid, but they also raise issues about how the sport may change while remaining true to its heritage. This struggle between tradition and innovation is common in women's basketball. It is a frequent subject in many sports, as the game's pioneers struggle to adapt to changes brought about by a new generation of players. This friction is especially obvious in the WNBA, WNBA, since the league is still in the early stages of establishing its identity. The WNBA, like many other sports leagues, will face the challenge of balancing reverence for the past with the desire to embrace the future as it expands.
You over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old.
Caitlin Clark's effect on the WNBA is evident. Since entering the league, she has continued to demonstrate the abilities that made her a collegiate standout, but she has also had to adapt to the demands of professional play. The competition is fiercer, the defenses are more complex, and the pressure to perform is relentless. Despite these hurdles, Clark has demonstrated that she belongs in the WNBA, putting up remarkable statistics and establishing herself as one of the league's most promising young players. Clark's involvement in the WNBA has also raised the league's profile. Her games have had increased viewership, and her highlights have been extensively broadcast on sports networks and other media platforms. This increased prominence is critical for the WNBA, which has often failed to capture the same degree of attention as the NBA. Clark's ability to fascinate viewers with her play has the potential to attract new followers and help the league expand.
Caitlin Clark behind the back on the spin to the hole and one.
To summarize, the feud between Cheryl Swoopes and Caitlin Clark is about more than just two people. It is about the trajectory of women's basketball in general. It reflects the difficulties and possibilities associated with development and change. As the WNBA evolves, it will be up to all those engaged in the sport to find a way to commemorate the past while also embracing the future, ensuring that women's basketball thrives for future generations.